Hi everyone, how are you? This is Brett and Marie. We're really pleased to be here for this webinar. This is going to be slightly different to other webinars that we've done before. So if you've attended before, you're going to find this content slightly different to the ones we've been presenting. Today is really about getting real with yourself and telling the truth.
It's important to tell ourselves the truth, and so many times in life we don't, because we can't clean anything up or fix anything if we're not dealing with the truth.
Exactly. So we have a code within the Warrior Relationship Code, and the code really is three main things: tell the truth, do the right thing, and love and protect the family. And we set that code up because that's the only way to have the kingdom, the life that you actually are looking for. If we are bullshitting ourselves, then we have no idea where we actually are. We can't shift because we're covering ourselves with stuff that is simply not true. And we're holding ourselves back by lies that we're telling ourselves about how we're stuck, how we can't change our relationship, how we can't change the marriage, how we can't change the situation with our treasury, with our investments, etc.
And I think we can excuse ourselves or excuse our partner. And that can keep us stuck in a pattern for a decade. So excusing is not telling yourself the truth.
Absolutely. So we're going to start our slide deck now and go into the actual webinar.
And it's great to have you on board.
It is. So Relationship Warriors is something we're really excited about because we're very passionate about our relationship, but we're also really passionate about everybody else's relationship too, because we find it really sad that in this day and age, most people are not able to create the relationship they actually want. Like 60% of us are getting divorced. It's just
too
insane.
High.
It's nuts.
It's too high.
It's crazy. So who is this web class for? Well, it's for those of you that are watching that are dynamic couples or individuals who are really into growing and being more. There's no point in sitting here absorbing this content and then going out and doing absolutely nothing with it, which is what we find many people do. In this day and age of social media, there's huge amounts of free content. The problem is we're so overwhelmed with free content that it's like piling our way through bullshit. We take all this stuff on and then do absolutely nothing with it. What's the point? If you're going to listen to this webcast, then you need to be taking action on it. You need to be implementing and doing it. And as part of what we teach, we have a complete system for actually implementing this into your life. Because we've seen many people, come and get content and then do nothing with it. We've all been to those, free events, free web classes, and then do nothing.
Education alone is not going to do anything. You need action to change any situation.
Absolutely. And even, you watch people sign up to the webinar, right? We get hundreds of people sign up and less than a half actually turn up to the actual event itself. It's quite amazing. So this webinar is for those who recognize they're going okay in their relationship, but there is another level of trust, depth, and commitment. Because in our own relationship, we know, we went through some tough periods very early on. And when you continue to work on it, it actually gets better. And you go deeper and deeper into levels of trust, commitment, and love in your relationship. So wherever you are, even if your relationship's good, you can still go to another level. It's for those who are going through a tough time at the moment as well, because the truth is every relationship goes through a tough time.
And for those that attract the wrong partner, you can get 99 gorgeous guys in a pub and one prick, and often you would get someone who goes for that one prick. So what has to change? They have to change. They have to tell themselves the truth. The partners I'm picking are all the same. This is what they're like. What has to happen? You have to change. And that's telling yourself the truth.
Absolutely. So it's also for those who are seeking the relationship of their dreams. You're going to learn a lot in this webinar about how to actually attract that person that you're seeking to you. So what can you expect? Well, our goal today is, one, to get you to tell the truth to yourself, But secondly, also to see how really the truth is you're just one conversation away from the relationship that you actually want. You know, I think in this day and age, we kid ourselves about everything. We kid ourselves about not only where we are personally, but we're conditioned by culture, by events, by things that happen to us in our life and the role models that we model to tell ourselves lies about who we are and what we're capable of.
We're very capable beings. We really are, you know, and we don't need to go to counselling once a week for 5 years. That is a long time, and it doesn't work, and compromise doesn't work. You know, so can things change in 3 days? Or absolutely, and you're going to see how and why.
And we're going to show you a new code of a way of living and being, but also a new code in terms of a relationship code. You know, what we've learned over the years is that men and women speak in particular ways. And I had no idea. Like, you know, when we first got married, I wanted a great relationship. I'd been through a marriage that had failed, and I wanted to make sure that this relationship, you know, was strong. But I really had no idea on how she thinks, how she is as a woman, what she actually needs. I thought I did, but I had to learn that shit.
So we've been married 23 years, and it's certainly been a journey. And this is what we want to share with you in this hour.
So we lie to ourselves. What do I mean by that? What I mean by it is that we actually have no idea how we've been conditioned. How we've been conditioned by culture, how we've been conditioned by events that happen to us, and how we've been conditioned by the role models that we've taken on in our life. And each of those role models has put, if you like, a frame that we look at the world through. And when we look at it in this frame, what we see is our version of the world, not her version, not your version, but my version is what I see and experience. And that version that I'm seeing and experiencing either is beneficial to me or it's not. And in a lot of cases, given particularly in relationships, you know, where we've got a 60, nearly 70% divorce rate, it clearly isn't working. The cultural frame that we look at in terms of relationships no longer works. It is screwed.
And we're not taught any of this at school. You know, we're not taught how to have an awesome relationship or how to make money or how to build investments. We're not taught that in school, so it's not your fault. You know, if it was taught at schools, wow, how different would marriages be and wealth be?
Absolutely. And when you look at, you know, success in business, success in investment, success with our kids, raising our children, where did that stuff come from? You have to start to question yourself. Where did I get the information that I'm using, the strategies that I'm using to build my life? And what we've been able to do over the last 30 years is perfect those strategies. And that's what we want to share with you today. So in a relationship, there's nothing worse than being lonely in a relationship. So we meet many couples, you know, who are great people, really great people, but they put up with, in their unawareness, in their frame of a very ordinary relationship. And the truth is, the truth actually is they're lying to themselves. They're actually lonely, but they won't acknowledge that they're lonely in their relationship, so they put up with that crap.
Or they tell themselves, you know, we love each other and can't be together. And that's all bullshit. You can be together. You know, that's not the truth.
Yeah. And a lot of us in our unawareness get locked into, particularly guys, but also ladies as well, girls as well. You know, we get locked into just being the producer. Okay, that's what I do. I just go out to work, then I come home, I'm going to put my feet up and relax. Good luck with that, right? That ain't going to happen. And when we get locked into that situation as a guy, you know, what we experience is coming home to coldness. We want to connect with her, but that's not what we're experiencing. You know, we're going out, working hard every day, come home, and it's just chaos.
And for a relationship to thrive nowadays, we need a lot more. You know, we just need so much more than someone just providing.
Absolutely. And when women can experience this coldness as trying to handle it all. So if I'm coming home and I'm not stepping up, then she's going to be like,
yeah. They feel they're everything to everybody, and I think it's epidemic for women nowadays. You know, where they're taking on everything. You know, the home, the cooking, they're out making money, and you know, before they know it, they're really handling everything, and they're tired.
Yeah,
and that's not sustainable.
Yeah. Now, guys, as we're going through this webinar, if you've got any questions, we've got the chat line open. Whack some questions up in there. Like, here's an opportunity to get information from people that have done this for 30 years. You know, we teach these classes around Australia. We teach them over in Los Angeles as well, in the United States. And welcome if anyone's here from the US.
And Indonesia.
Yep. And, you know, you've got an opportunity here to get two experts and directly ask us questions that you need to know. So whack them into the chat line, and we'll answer them as we go through the webinar. And
feel free to say hello, so we feel like we're speaking to a real person and not a computer screen.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, if you're in a relationship and you know that you love the person but you're not connecting, ask yourself the question, like, why is that happening? What bullshit am I telling myself that I'm not getting real with me that enables me to break through what's actually going on in the relationship?
Because a lot of women would often say they don't love their partner anymore, or they don't think they love their partner anymore. And I really get that, because you're unable to love your partner if there's a lot of resentment between you. You know, love will not flow if you're really pissed at things. And women can really hold on to things that he's done. You know, like last year he did this. You know, or last month you said this to my mother. So women can really hold on to things.
Yeah. So we're going to show you how that dynamic actually operates in a relationship. So if you're in a relationship, and you must be in one that you know there's more for you in it, right? If it's not right, stop complaining about it. Make a choice. Like, take friggin' action and do something about it. Fix it. If it's not good, don't just whinge and complain about it. Fix it. Make it happen. So how do we get to the situation of this dynamic that we have in a relationship where he's just like shut down and really not communicating the way that he needs to communicate, and she's like banging on at him, trying to get him to communicate? Because that dynamic is the one that actually ruins relationships. We have to fix this crap. We have to fix this shit, because we are looking at a culture and a society now where 2/3 of us, right, cannot do this. We cannot hold a relationship together. It is broken, people. It is broken, and it needs to be fixed.
And it's too high, you know. And for those people that have gone through the first marriage, if you don't change yourself, the odds of your second marriage is worse.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure you do the work now.
Yeah. Sean, Tolga, good to see you guys here.
Hi, guys.
Awesome. Nice to have some men on board listening to this. So for the men, you know, how did we get here? Hey, this is what we used to do, right? We used to go off to war. This is what our fathers and our forefathers did. And in World War I and World War II, something dramatic happened. You know, these young men went off to war expecting this courage, this heroics. What they experienced was slaughter on a scale we have never seen before, and probably, hopefully, we'll never see again on this planet. And they came back from that changed and different. They came back wanting peace. They came back shut down, because when they were in that war, they were told, do it, just get on with it. Get on with the shit and make it happen. And to do that, they had to shut down their emotions. And when they came home, they were now conditioned in continuing to do that.
Brett's dad was one of those people who came back from war. And one of his famous sayings was, the skeletons that happened when he was away, I will keep them in my closet.
Yeah, and a lot of guys were like that. And then we as men, as young men, modeled that. You know, we model by osmosis. We model by not what they do. This is critical. We don't model by what they tell us to do. We model by emotionally, how are they? How are they reacting to stuff? How do they deal with stress? How do they deal with an argument? What do they do in a relationship? And then we model that. Monkey see, monkey do is pretty much how it works. For the ladies, it was different.
And women then started to work. They started to get jobs, which was fantastic and needed to happen. And they started making the guns and the gunpowder, etc. So they were enjoying the freedom of getting out of the house and working, which was brilliant. But at the same time, they're dealing with the household. They were cooking, making clothes, looking after their parents, and most likely looking after his parents too. So that was the beginning of freedom for women, but also women starting to do everything.
Yeah, absolutely, Tolga. This goes across not just what we're talking about here, it goes across into our conditioning in education, food, and a whole bunch of other areas. We're just talking about one narrow area here that affects relationships. It affects our whole kingdom when we start to really wake up to this. So we get conditioned as men to shut down, and she's trying to handle it all. So, you know, what ends up happening between the two of us is I come home and at the end of the workday, hey, I just want to chill. I just want peace. I don't really want to get into a difficult conversation about, you know, what's going on in our relationship or what's happening with the kids or other stuff I need to deal with, because men are very narrow focused. We just focus on one thing only.
Women are very widely focused and they focus on everything. So immediately there's a clash here.
And for women, that makes them exhausted, right? Because they're trying to deal with all this crap. So as men, we have to relearn how to step into these different areas and handle it. How do we switch our focus?
And women have to relearn not to handle everything and what to let go of.
Yeah, and there are mechanisms, systems, and strategies we can put in place to learn that. And that's what building a kingdom is about. That's what the armory within the kingdom is about, learning those tactics, learning those strategies.
And the armory is all tools that you need to learn to build an awesome kingdom.
Yeah. And Tolga, absolutely. It's a training, right? You don't go to the gym once and go, okay, thanks for the webinar. You know, I'm awesome now. I'm going to off to create an awesome relationship. That's bullshit. It doesn't happen. There is no one event. There is no one webinar. There's no one book that is ever going to change your life. You have to work at it consistently. So within the kingdom, we have a saying of you have to do the work. And that means you have to continue on doing what you've been doing. If anyone tells you or you start to believe that it's just a one-off thing, you're bullshitting yourself. You're lying to yourself.
It's a journey.
Totally.
It's a journey.
So in the 60s, we also got another cultural conditioning, which was men and women became equal. And we are equal, right? There's anything that I can do, Marie can do as well. However, that then became in the culture, we're the same. And now we try and communicate to each other as though we're the same. When I communicate, I expect she's going to relate to me like another guy would relate to me and answer my questions directly.
And
good luck with that, right?
That is so not true. You know, I can do anything Brett can do, absolutely. And I've been running my own companies for years. But are we different in every area? Possibly. What Brett wants from a relationship is very different from what I want from a relationship.
Absolutely. Sean, do the friggin' work. Totally.
Absolutely.
Totally, brother.
Awesome.
Totally. You have to do the friggin' work, because without the work, nothing changes. It's like going to the gym, walking there, prancing around going, yeah, man, look at me, you know, I'm really buff, and not picking up a single friggin' weight. If you don't do the work with this, nothing is going to change. Is it a challenge? Absolutely. But if you're a dynamic person, you will be up for the challenge.
And it's only true warriors that continue the journey, that do the friggin' work, do they then make a big difference in their life. And it's like 5 years' time, they look back and think, wow, this is where I am.
Yeah.
And, you don't need to leave relationships.
Totally.
It's amazing what healing can happen.
So what we're doing right now with this stuff we're talking about is shattering your existing belief system, okay? Because the belief system we've got from the culture is bullshit. It lies to us. This is the truth. We are not the same. We are completely different. It is yin and yang going on here, man, right? Anything that I am, she's the opposite of that in terms of communication. So if I can't understand her, I am not going to get that communication, and it breaks down. Every couple we've met wants love. Every couple we've met wants trust and commitment. The only reason, hear me here, okay? The only reason we don't get that shit is we don't understand each other. So we've got to relearn this.
And to be able to influence him, I need to understand this. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to influence him.
Absolutely. So the king and queen must rise for the kingdom to stand. And what we mean by this here is we have to do a couple of things, okay? We have to work on ourselves first. We have to learn the code. And then we have to shift as individuals within the relationship so that the kingdom, us, what we're creating together in our life together, can stand. Because that's what a kingdom is.
And when you get that right, well, two is more powerful than one.
Yeah, because I can go out and create an empire on my own, and I've done that, right? If you guys know me at all, you know I built a $400 million company. I built an empire, but it collapsed. And what you want to build is a kingdom together. It's about the togetherness of the building that really matters. So what's our individual story? Well, for me, in my first marriage, I freaking lied to myself. I said it's okay to go out and just be the guy, just be the producer, be the empire builder, create that stuff. Other guys will be, I'm just going to be fit and I'm going to be buff, or I'm going to go and spend time with my mates, or I'm going to go and do my hobbies and do my own shit. And, that's pretty much what I did. I lied to myself. And the result of doing that was that the empire that I built couldn't stand. The kingdom collapsed afterwards. When the business went under, the shores of that money, wealth, and comfort, the waves pulled back, or it exposed with the bare rocks of a relationship that was bereft of any love, commitment, and trust. And hence the relationship disintegrated. When I met Marie, what I wanted to be able to do was learn, I made a commitment to myself after that shit happened. And I said, okay, the most painful thing of losing all that, because I knew I had the skills to rebuild the wealth. That wasn't the question. But what happened afterwards it was like, holy shit. The most painful part of this has been losing the relationship, losing the family, losing touch with the kids. And I'm not going to let that shit happen again. So I want to learn these skills with Marie to make sure that it's not going to happen again. And now, 26 years later, I have relearned those skills, but that was the most painful period of my life. And it gave me the incentive to really learn this stuff. And Sean, I get what you're saying, right? That's where any man's struggle is within building the kingdom, is to one, claim the kingdom and go, you know what? This is friggin' important. If I lose this shit, my life is going to suck big time. And then I'm just going to have to go out and relearn it with somebody else. So it's worth fighting for.
Love your communication, Sean. And for me, I remember everything was going fantastic. I had a great business was good. In fact, Current Affair had just done a story in my business.
Well, you grew up in Belfast, right?
I did. So it was tough in Belfast. I grew up pretty on the streets and
throwing petrol bombs
and
at the Brits.
And it was quite a street education. And then I came to Australia, then I bought a business. And I remember in my business, having everything, business going well, but I remember one particular night, it was a Saturday, just not being happy with my life and wondering, why am I so miserable when everything is going so well? And I was really attracting, I was in a relationship and I was attracting boys, not men. And I was always the motivated one and I was always motivating them. And just, I was attracting a guy that just didn't want much, wanted to settle.
And being in Belfast, I mean, you toughened up, hadn't you?
I had toughened up, and I actually was living in my masculine. So for all my 20s, I was living in my masculine, attracting men in their feminine. And, it was an area that I really, really had to look at and change. So then I attracted someone very different.
And you got me. So what we're stressing here is that, like for Marie, she'd been in an environment that toughened her up, made her shift into her masculine. She'd be conditioned to be into that. And that made her select guys who were predominantly in their feminine state. And they just weren't stepping up. They just weren't there for her. When she met me, I began to make that shift at that point. So she could see the man in me. And she wanted that as a woman. She wanted that. She wanted someone who was going to carry the burden with her. Now, in the first 5 years of the relationship, at times I carried the burden and other times I dropped the ball. So it was a struggle for us then.
And me too. That was a struggle for me to move to my feminine, and that was something that I had to learn. And that was a journey for both of us.
Yeah, and it was a tough journey. We had the whole, trying to integrate my kids into our relationship, trying to integrate a split family into that. And that was tough. That was a really hard period. And you have to do the work. And it's one thing that we did do, right? We started our journey back then on working on ourselves.
In fact, it was in our marriage vows that every year we'll go around the world and do some sort of course. And people say, oh, you're lucky. You're lucky you've got a great relationship. And it's like, luck has nothing to do with it. We've done the friggin' work.
Seriously, there is no luck to success, okay? Success leaves clues. And the only way you get to success is doing the work. And this area of your life in relationships is no different. You have to friggin' do the work. So we want to play you a little video right now of a couple that have also done the work. Like these guys, Jen and Paul, are friggin' awesome.
They're warriors.
They work with us for well over 15 years now. They've been married for 18 years. They were childhood sweethearts.
16, I think they met.
Yeah, 16 they met. And to get where they are now, to make a relationship last that long, and not only make it last that long, but have a great relationship, it's tough. You have to do a lot of work. And, full credit to them. That's exactly what they've done. So I'm going to play this little video of Jen and Paul. Have a listen.
Hello, Brett and Marie.
Hi.
We're sitting here at the Crown Towers, enjoying the fact that we're having a night by ourselves with an actual contribution from friends for Jen's 40th, which is what we've used to actually pay for the night. And we're just sitting here thinking, thank you so much for your contribution. I know that you guys know that you do so much for people, but I just want to share with you the fact that we love you so much, and thank you so much just from us, because if it wasn't for you and your intervention at certain times, we wouldn't be able to sit here on our 18th wedding anniversary and enjoy it. So thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Have you got anything to say?
Just thank you for your love, your support, your guidance. As Paul said, without that and giving us that mentoring when things were really, really not great, and for helping us stay great and stay true. And, right now we are sitting here and I'm loving up my king and I'm feeling like a queen, like you would not believe. We have just had the best few hours, and I thank you for absolutely everything, and we love you guys so much, and we just wanted to send you this little message.
And we'll catch up soon because we have to drop a certain tent back.
Yes.
See you guys.
Bye.
Love you.
Aren't they beautiful?
They're amazing. So those guys have done the work. They've done what is necessary to get to where they are. And the thing about Jen and Paul is no matter what's happened in their life, they've been prepared to press through it and continue to work on themselves, even when it's been tough, even when they wanted to leave. That's what they did.
And even when the babies, you've got a couple of kids, and even when the babies were small and not sleeping, and they had their tough times like we all do.
Yeah. So there's different periods you go through in your life, you know, in the relationship that you have to cope with, different skills you need. And, you know, the thing with those guys is they kept coming back and learning those new skills for every period they've gone through. That's what you have to do. So we know through the work that we've done that you have to build a kingdom. It is not just enough to work on the relationship and get this piece right. Because if the stuff in the treasury, right, which provides the security in the relationship, if that's not right, if you're not earning enough money or you've got no investments or you don't own your home, that's going to threaten the relationship. You know, that's what I said. Like I said in my first marriage, right? We had hundreds of millions of dollars. When that stuff disappeared, what showed up was how the relationship actually was. So I know now in this relationship, that area is critical to be continually working on. And in every area within the Relationship Warrior Code, we show you how to build these areas out. The treasury, the temple, like where your beliefs and your conditioning, that where does that crap come from and how do you remove it off you so you're free to implement the strategies?
And with the temple, it's also about finding peace in the middle of turmoil, because there will be turmoil. You know, there'll be something at work, something with the kids, something with your partner. And it's really important in the temple to find that peace in the middle of turmoil. So this is a kingdom we're building here in all these areas.
Absolutely. So you have to be able to have inner peace in you to deal with whatever's going on, particularly as a man.
And then the dojo, you know, you need to have the health and the fitness with what you're putting in your body and what energy, because if your body and your energy is not on, a 10 and not peak, then you don't have the energy to put into the relationship. So one area affects another area.
And as a man, like if you're not working out, if you're not filling and fueling your body, you know, with good stuff, at the end of the day, guys, you're going to be exhausted. Like seriously. Like you're going to be totally exhausted because you do put in a full effort during the day. And because of the way we're designed, we're so single focused, we get mentally tired. Women, they just like do it all day long. They can build completely differently to us. So you have to recognize these things about us as men. And to be able to do this, to be able to do what we're talking about here, you have to work in the dojo. You have to work in the temple. Get that inner peace going. Be meditating like 2 or 3 times a week to give you the power of production to not only to get you past the fear of investing, as an example, right? And learning those skills. That's what you have to be able to do. Then you have to learn the code. Then you have to learn, okay, there's more skills in terms of leading, like leadership skills for the heirs with your kids. How do I lead these people, these little people, to become very resourceful, resilient children?
What values are we going to pass on to the kids?
Absolutely.
If you get this, give us a yes.
Yeah, add some comments, guys. I know a few of you are commenting, like Sean and Tolga. Come on, guys. There's heaps more people on here. Put some comments up. Ask some questions. There is a different communication code than the verbal one of us being on the same page in the bedroom. Okay, it's a completely different code. It's a warming up process that can take like 3 or 4 days. And if as a man you're not prepared to put that in, dude, like just get out of the relationship because it's not going to work there. You know, you've got to be prepared to do the friggin' work. This is the truth.
And just the difference in the bedroom is massive. You know, women make love as a celebration of their closeness. When men, it's not. Men need to make love to feel close. So we're just so different.
We're completely opposite. And, you know, as a guy, as a man, if you're not making love to your partner on a regular basis each week, you're going to feel disconnected, dude. That's the truth. You will feel disconnected from her. And then you'll be shitty and spiteful, and you'll make mean comments and sulky to her. And guys, I'm not pointing the finger here, right? You know, I've done this shit. I've done it plenty of times in my own life with her. And you've got to man up to be able to get past it. And the only way you man up, right, is to master these areas. There is a system of doing it that we no longer know because our fathers forgot it and didn't know how to do it. And being able to have that kingdom has created this lifestyle, you know, of meeting plenty of famous people around the world, of going to magnificent locations, of being able to take the kids to experience magnificent things overseas, of giving them that insight into life, having that role and that responsibility, plus being able to generate the money to give them those experiences. That's when you step up as a king and a queen in your relationship, when you can do this stuff. So to build the kingdom, 3 principles will be given you. Tell yourself the truth. Do the work on yourself. Change you, which will then impact in the relationship. These are 3 solid principles for your life and for your kingdom.
And some people get stuck in, oh, I'm not changing. They need to change. Get over yourself. Someone has to make the change first. That's just how it is.
Tolga, absolutely. It should be taught in schools, no doubt about it. And that's why we said at the beginning, right, of the webinar, it's not taught in schools. So if we don't learn this shit, no one's going to teach our kids this shit.
Yeah.
So we have to take it on. We have to learn it. We have to give it to them.
And agree, Tolga, you know, it should be taught at schools, but it's not. There'd be a lot less divorces around the world if it was. Totally agree.
And if you're listening to this and you're leaving it up to the school system, you're just friggin' lazy. Sorry, that's the truth. You're just friggin' lazy because this stuff is not taught in school. We're depriving our children of knowing the truth. So within the kingdom, with the community that we have, we live by a code. We live by 3 kingdom codes, 3 laws that we live by. The first is tell the truth.
Just let us know if you're hearing us.
Yeah, Tolga, sometimes you might lose connection on the webinar. You're going to have to reconnect. There's a button at the top. You can reconnect to the webinar again. So 3 laws. Tell the truth. Beyond what your emotions tell you to do, beyond the feelings. Because, you know, if I go to the gym, what do our emotions tell me? If I'm getting up in the morning to do my meditation and do my high intensity workout, right? What do you think my emotions tell me to do? What do you think my friggin' head, the voice in my head tells me to do? It says, Brett, stay in friggin' bed. Don't bother to do meditation today. Don't bother to do that high intensity workout. Don't bother to lift that iron, pump up these muscles. It's too friggin' hard. It's painful, dude. Don't do it. If I listen to those voices, I'd have nothing that I have in my life. That's the truth. Your head, your emotions, friggin' lie to you.
And do the right thing. That's above and beyond emotion. And secondly, let go of the outcome. You need to do the right thing. Say what needs to be said. Have the conversation be brave. Have the conversation that needs to be said, but letting go of the outcome.
Yeah.
Whether he is in a bad mood because of it or not, we need to do the right thing.
Yeah, Sean, sometimes the audio will drop out. You just need to push the reconnect button at the top of your screen and that will reconnect you again, just as Tolga did. So love and protect the family. What does that actually mean? It means step up as king and queen and give our children this education. Learn these skills for ourselves because they are going to learn it by watching you. They're going to learn it by modeling your emotions. They're going to learn it by how you step up, what you do and don't do. If you're not doing this, if you're not in the masculine state as a man or you're in the feminine state as a man, that's what they're going to model. That's exactly what I modeled from my father, right? And exactly as many of you guys listening to this have modeled from your fathers. For the women, It's the same.
Absolutely. If your model is a masculine woman, that's what you're going to do.
Yeah. Or
93% communication is non-verbal. So it's the non-verbal stuff that we pick up.
totally. And if you're modeling, if you're not really modeling, if you're a girl and you're not really modeling your mother, you're modeling your father, you're going to pick up the masculine out of him. If you've chosen, because of things that have happened, to model your father more than your mother, you will pick up the masculine. And then when you go out and you look for a guy, you'll be in the masculine and you're going to pick, right, a guy who's predominantly feminine most of the time. And if you're a lady, you know what the hell that means, right? It means you're running around doing most of the work, carrying the emotional burden for him. That sucks. Change it. Make it different. Do something different. So we're going to take you through 3 truths today, 3 ways of looking at this code. First of all, change you, change the relationship. Even if your partner won't change. How to communicate, to have the passion and intimacy, even if at the moment it feels like you've lost the flame in your relationship. Plus, how to restore the relationship in just 3 days, even if you have no trust in the relationship right now. How do we know this stuff works? We're going to show you. So what is the Relationship Warrior Code? So there are 3 laws that we've given you. What we want to talk about now is what's this communication code that I had to learn as a man to be able to communicate with her, and the code she had to learn as a woman to be able to really communicate with me and get me to do the stuff that she wants me to do. Because let me tell you, right?
There's lots of stuff.
She's always got a friggin' huge list of stuff that I need to do. Like before this webinar, right? 5 minutes before the webinar, she's going, okay, Brett, there's all this stuff I need you to do straight up. I need you to help me pay these bills, put this invoice in, do all this other stuff. And I'm freaking out. I'm going, I'm focused on the friggin' webinar right now, and you're piling me up with all this other stuff. Dude, that's how they are. If you can't accept that about women, you've got a major problem. If you're expecting her to be like a guy and go, let's just focus on the webinar.
One thing at a time.
Yeah, like either go and find another guy to be with, right? Or accept the truth. This is how women are. All women. All women. It took me ages, it took me years to get to the point where I really realized this. Did enough work on myself that I could accept this truth. I kept trying to change her. You can't change her.
That went down really well.
Yeah, lots of arguments that did not turn into conversations after 5 minutes, let me tell you. Right? They lasted for days. So we have to accept the truth. This is how we are individually. So let's have a look at it. See, we're conditioned to be in a certain way. So there are 3 what we call formations. And the first formation is we're conditioned by the culture. We showed you that at the beginning of the webinar, right? Coming out of the war, coming through the 60s, men and women have been conditioned into what we call suppression. We expect to be the same. And we're not. We're suppressed. And we're not the same. There is no power in me being in my feminine state. No power in her being in her masculine state. No power at all, ladies, if you're watching this, right? There is no power in being the masculine. You might have been conditioned to believe the masculine is power. Let's get my balls on and go out there and kick a few. That's not going to happen.
And you deny yourself the intuition and all what the feminine does, because the feminine gets as much work done as the masculine, except for the feminine, there's more flow and there's less stress.
Much less stress. And then when she's not stressed, when she's in the feminine, dudes, we get our peace. Right? Sean, Tolga, we get our peace, right? When she's in her feminine, she's de-stressed, we get our peace. That's where it all comes together. That's where it starts to really, really work.
That's where flow happens.
Yeah, because when we put in the work, we step up, she can step into the feminine, and then there's peace in the kingdom. Oh, man, it's freaking amazing, okay? So that's the first conditioning. The second conditioning is we get conditioned by the role models that we grow up with, predominantly our parents, but not always. Sometimes it's grandparents we actually model more.
Or sometimes it's a school teacher
Yeah.
or a boss.
Yep, some authority figure in our life that we're modeling. And we model by watching their emotional states. How do they handle problems in their life? How do they handle challenges? What happens when they have an argument? Where did you get your model of relationship from? Your model is different to my model. Your model is different to her model. My model is different to Sean's model. We've all got different models, but there is one model that works, and this is the model that we're telling you about now. This is the friggin' truth. But we have to be truthful for ourselves, because sometimes that conditioning makes us an asshole, right? One of the things I had to do when I first got into this, and after the empire collapsed, after the $400 million business collapsed, I lost the marriage, I lost all my wealth, I had to rebuild all my wealth. Can you imagine starting, right? I had $7,000 and I spent it on a stick shift Ford to fit all the kids in with a bench seat in the front. It was a shit heap of a car. I paid $7,000 for it and I should have paid $1 because it was crap. And I drove around in that for ages because that's all the money I had. So I had to restart again with zero, zilch, nothing. But I had the skills to do that. And I made the commitment to myself, right, to learn these skills in relationship to be able to rebuild this area of my life as well. So you have to come from a place of like, I've got to learn these skills. These skills are critical because the model that I had was a model of in relationships from my parents. I was with them until I was 18. And not once did I ever see them argue. So my model was you don't argue in a relationship with a woman. You can imagine how that went down, right? Ladies, if you're listening to this, right? I know you're listening to this. It went down like a lead balloon.
Because when, a woman's getting nothing back, she'll either shut down or she'll get lighter. One or two things will happen.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So you have to look at yourself and go, okay, I went and did a course straight after that. Someone invited me to go and do it. Unfortunately, I did it. And I ended up in an abandoned monastery up in an area called Eunorcia. And I slept in a monk cell. And whilst I was in there, I just had amazing insight in that event and in that cell into myself. So we have what we call, in Relationship Warrior, going to the cell. When we go to the cell, we look inside ourselves and go, actually, Brett, you're a friggin' asshole, all right? And there are things about you need to change to have this with her. Because if I don't change that shit in me, I can't change it in her. So I have to change me first. And then, we have the fall where there's a problem. We go to the cell, and then we have the rise. And when we get on this path, we have rise after rise after rise.
And so many people will, one relationship doesn't work. They'll go on to the next and just blame the other partner. It didn't work because she did this or she was like this or he was like that. And that's not going to help you. You need to clean up your own back garden.
Correct. And that's what this is about. Tolga, you're absolutely right? I know you're going through a tough time right now. You've just gone through a divorce. So those periods in our life where we call the fall, and we're all going through falls. Every day we go through a fall. There's going to be some challenge in your life. Some of these falls are bigger than others, but these falls either make us or they break us. That choice is ours, no one else's.
Love your honesty, Sean.
Yeah, it can be horrible. I hate it.
Yeah.
Dude, Sean, thank you. But the truth is, right, for all of you that are watching this, the truth is we can all be assholes. It's how often you're an asshole and how much control you've got of yourself not to be that asshole. But where did the asshole come from? The truth is no one came into this universe an asshole. We came in an innocent little baby. And somewhere along the way, we got conditioned by culture, by role models, and sometimes by the third thing, right? By events that happened to us. You know, I remember an event, it's pretty horrific really when I think about it now, right? I was about 3 years of age, and the kid next door was growing up in a pretty violent house. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on. And I remember him, being with him, playing with him, and he got this kitten. I know it sounds terrible, right? He got this kitten, and he got a rock, and he killed the kitten with the rock. Me witnessing that changed something in you. It changed something in me when I witnessed that, right? And that little bit of arsehole started to come alive watching that. And then other stuff happens as well. You know, I remember him picking up a pot plant. And again, I was only about 3, and he smashed the pot plant on top of my head. And ended up with this big cut, the scar I've still got on my head today. You can actually now see because I haven't got no hair. And that stuff happens to us, and it changes us. It makes us into something different. And then when we try and implement these skills in the relationship, that asshole, that stuff that comes up and stops us from being what we want to be. And we have to do the work on it.
To shift it, we need to go to the cell.
Because otherwise we're going to run the tape of conditioning. Where did you get your model of relationship? I got mine from my parents. Don't argue. They lasted 55 years together before my father passed. So it's not as though they couldn't hang together for that period of time. So, you know, in me, I had this desire to have that because I witnessed it. But was I able to do it? No, because part of what I took from it was influenced by the other things that happened to me. So it wasn't just witnessing that. My own conditioning, my own events, the culture, being in my feminine, all made me not be able to implement what they had implemented. I hope that makes sense to you guys, right? You've got to do the work in each of these areas of conditioning. Culture, role models, and the shit that's happened to us. When you do the work in each of these areas, now I can be free to implement the strategies that we can show you. So the first part of the event that we run, the training, the mentoring, the coaching that we do, is to get you to remove that conditioning from you. Because I can give you the strategies, right? But if you listen to the voice or you listen to the emotions, which are the conditioning, right? The emotions are the conditioning. If you listen to that shit, nothing I give you, you're going to be able to do. You won't implement it. That's the truth. And then the king and the queen cannot rise. So in my own life, I had this crush on this little 4-year-old girl down the road. As you can tell, a lot of stuff happens to us when we're young. Certainly a lot of stuff happened to me when I was young. And this little girl was called Joanne. And I had this mad crush on her. God knows why, but I did. I invited her to my birthday party, and she came along with a little pink ribbon in her hair to the birthday party. And during the party, she got up and she walked out of the party. And even though I was only 4, I was like, WTF, right? What the hell's going on here? Why is she leaving? And I walked out on the footpath and watched her walk away down the street, walking back to her house. And when that happens, something happens to us. Emotionally, not intellectually, we ask 3 questions. We go, okay, what does this mean? Why did this happen? And how do I feel about it? So for me, the answers to those questions were, she doesn't like me. How do I feel about it? Devastated, unloved. What am I going to do about it? I'm going to make women love me. I'm going to make sure they do. And I remember, you know, as I grew up, I'd walk out and collect the mail just at around 3:30 in the afternoon after I was back from school, because she happened to be walking past and I might just bump into her, right? It wasn't until I was 17 or 18 I actually asked her out on a date. Now, she didn't like me. She wasn't into me. But that pattern set up from that one event continued through my life of wanting women to love me and like me. And I went over the top in trying to make that happen. And that set up a pattern of failure in my relationships just from one event. And in your own lives, the same shit applies. This is the truth, guys. This is what happens. And you've got to recognize it and do the work. So a couple that came to our event in Los Angeles we did earlier this year. I'm about to do another event in October coming up in LA as well, our Relationship Warrior Code event. And Holly and Mark came along. Now, they're the perfect example. Like, Holly is an amazing woman.
Beautiful woman, and her husband is a action guy. You know, he does a lot of extreme sports stuff. And they came and they worked 3 days, and I think she was ready to leave.
Yeah, absolutely.
They came for 3 days, and because you don't need to be working, you know, you don't need to be doing counselling once a week for 5 years.
No.
You can do massive changes in 3 days.
Absolutely. And they came, and what they got out of the event is a complete shift. Like, Mark's a big 6'2" guy, and he's into extreme sports, but he would do that in his masculine and then come home, and by his conditioning from his family, from the culture, he would shift into his feminine state. In other words, he became a pussy, right? And Holly was at the point where she tried everything and nothing that she did seemed to work. So have a listen to her experience of the event that we run.
And it was really amazing to do it with my husband at the same time, so we could both work through these blocks and move forward.
So that was the main piece you came for, right? Was to get the relationship to a different place than where it's been.
Yes.
So did that happen in the 3 days?
It happened not only by pushing our stuff out of the way, but really going back into the effects of our childhood, but also learning that big piece about how we are wired different and what to do with it.
Yeah.
How to react. And
so did you get a lot of difference between the masculine and the feminine, really understanding men, but also understanding yourself as a woman and what you actually need?
Absolutely. And that was the big piece that I hadn't discovered before, was the actual science behind how we're wired different.
Yeah, yeah. So do you think now, like, he knows how to make you happy now?
Yes.
Right. And do you think you're more open to showing him what you actually need?
Absolutely.
Rather than hoping that he's going to discover it from you.
Right.
Right?
I mean, it seems so insignificant to go over these little communication skills, but when you don't have the communication, that's when everything falls apart.
Yeah. So were you in the masculine state most of the time before, or the feminine state before?
The masculine.
Right. Which most women are in right now, right? And I think
we are, absolutely we are, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's normal because everybody else is like that. But when you see the contrast of what it's like to actually be in the feminine, how does it feel like to be in the feminine now?
It feels more natural. When I had to take on the masculine state, it was a constant, like, uphill battle.
Yes.
But now I feel like I'm more in the flow where I should be.
Yeah, yeah. And have you noticed now that you're there, was he in the masculine or feminine before?
He was in the feminine.
Yeah, right. And now?
He's in the masculine.
Yeah. And
total role reversal.
Yeah. And how's that feel for you as a woman?
Solid. I feel so much more security and protection moving forward. And I feel like I feel like he can finally understand me.
Right. And that, as a woman, of course, is really, really important, isn't it? To be understood.
Oh, absolutely. That makes the marriage. That makes the marriage, really.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So you can see, from what Holly's saying, that when we get the experience of what the masculine and feminine actually is, that's when we can make the shift. It's so important to actually experience that and know what it really is to be able to make that shift.
Great warrior, isn't she?
Totally.
And just give us a yes if you heard that okay, because sometimes we're not too sure how clear the audio is, especially in Australia where
the internet's not fantastic. So second part of this equation is to learn the communication code. And those pictures there illustrate it like really well. This is what happens. She gets to the point where she's communicating, she's trying to tell him David. Thanks, David. Appreciate that, man. She's trying to tell him, and this is where guys get confused about it, right? She's not banging on about the kids. She's not banging on about work. She's not banging on about you not being there. She's not banging on about the lack of money. What she's banging on about is the lack of connection and communication that's actually going on in the relationship.
Because whatever the problem is, if it's money or kids or whatever, what she needs to hear is she needs to hear from you. She wants to know, what are you feeling about this? What do you think about this? How can we work together on this? That's what she wants.
Thanks, Tennille. Appreciate that. Yeah, because her brain is designed to tune into the state of the kingdom, like everything that's going on in our relationship, around the house, with the kids, with our investments, all of it.
So a woman will just intuitively know way before the guy if something's not quite right in the relationship.
Totally. And guys, this is something I never used to appreciate. If I share something business-wise with Marie, whilst I may not do what she says, her input into that comes from a completely different place to me, and she sees shit that I quite often don't see. So that's why we say 2 is more powerful than 1. But if we're, as men, not prepared to listen and understand that this happens in all women, and they're going to pick up that minor tremor in the kingdom, tremor in the relationship, it's just going to go, we need to talk about this. And what most men do is friggin' freak out and go to pussy mode and go, oh, no, I don't want to talk about it. I can't talk about that because all I hear you is blaming me. Yes, you will hear her blaming you. And I get, dudes, I get it, that you feel like this guy on the ground here after the conversation, right? You feel like you're battered up. And she feels like she has to put the armor on to come and beat him up.
And ladies, a tip, change your language. Instead of saying we need to talk, change their language. You know what? I want to brainstorm about this. Totally different response from the guys.
Yep.
Just by using different language.
Totally. And Sean, thank you. I know you've done, our event, and you're coming again in October to do more training with us to really master this. And it's absolutely true. As men, we have to get ourselves, we have to do the work on ourselves to a point where we can step up and handle this shit. Because if we don't handle it, they will, but eventually they get exhausted. And when they get exhausted and they feel they can't do it anymore, which is where women will eventually end up, maybe after a year, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. But at some point, they're going to get to the point where they're like, I'm out of here. I'm done. I've had it.
Can do it myself. Don't need you.
Yep.
Don't want you.
Or they'll go have an affair to send you a friggin' message because you're not listening any other way. Or they'll go and get their needs met from the kids instead of you. Or they'll go off to work and be a man and get all their needs met at work. Though that shit is going to happen. That's what happens. That's why you see it around you. That's why it's in our culture. That's why it's happening at epidemic levels right now. And it's got to change. So women want to talk about the emotions, but we want to talk about the facts. Oh, you want to talk about the kids? Sure, let's talk about the kids. Dudes, it's not about the kids. She wants to talk about how she's feeling.
And when we do that, remember, we feel connected. Then once we feel connected and we feel you're hearing us, then we have a chemical released in our body.
Yeah.
So then we love you. Then we feel closer to you.
Yeah.
And also our cortisol levels drop.
Yeah.
So we feel less stressed.
Totally. So there's this whole scientific hormone-based thing that goes on. When we're in our masculine state, our testosterone levels hit the roof. She can feel that. The truth is, the absolute truth is, she can feel that shit. And when she does, her oxytocin levels will rise. Then she'll feel relaxed. And when she feels relaxed, that's when we can start to connect. But we've got to have this conversation with her for this to occur. Without the conversation, it's not going to happen. And right now in our culture, we're totally like friggin' screwed up when it comes to knowing what the masculine and the feminine actually are. We've got no clue.
And women want to be feel cared for, and men want to be supported. And ladies, it really shocked me how simple it was. You know, I remember saying to Brett, we went to the movies, and I remember saying, "Oh, look, thanks for taking me to the movies. That was great. You know, really enjoyed it." And he felt great. And it was just a little thank you. And I remember thinking, oh, like such a small thank you made him feel so good. And I think often we forget to say thank you. Thank you for working so hard, or, you know, thank you for that holiday, because we work too. And we think, why should we say thank you?
Yeah.
And I really get that. But it means so much more to the male than to the female.
Yeah, totally.
And with women, it's the little things that make us feel cared for. Doesn't necessarily need to be the big things. The little things like, you know, Brett went away. He was in America a few weeks ago, and he was just away a week, and he just left a note on the mirror saying, "I miss you already, love you."
Yeah.
That was it. And I kept it on the mirror all week. So it's just the little things you feel cared for.
So there is so much content that we have, so much learnings and knowledge that we have built up in our armory that we want to give you. The problem is we've been going an hour now, and like we're not even scratching the surface, which is why we have a 32-hour event to be able to do it. Now, you guys have been listening to it for a while now, okay? So by now, you know whether you need to do some shit in your relationship, in your life. I've just put up a little link there. You can book us right now to have an hour chat with either Marie or myself and get into this in more depth. Apply it to your own actual situation in your life. So if you want to take advantage of that, this is going to be up for a little while, not the full 10 minutes I've got there, probably about 5 minutes. Here's your opportunity. If you want to book us right now while we continue to do the presentation. So what are the masculine and feminine? So for guys, it is being in a particular state, a state of certainty, a state of a high energy level that we literally have to learn, master, focus on, and be able to do like that when we're having a conversation with her. We're going to be able to switch to that place and get into that mode of masculine when we have the conversation with her. That enables her to get into the feminine. Women, ladies that are listening, you have a much better sense of when we're in the masculine, you know, right?
Immediately.
But you tell yourselves bullshit about it. You put up with it, and you choose men that you know are in the feminine state when you're aware of it, and you tell yourselves, oh, you know, he's got great potential. I can like, you know, improve him. What are you thinking?
And for the women, you know, when you master the feminine, the question I always get then, you know, how often should I go to the feminine? And it's a place where you can live every moment of every day, whether you're buying some bread in the shop or whether you're on the phone call to a friend. It's a state like...
Or at work.
Or at work.
Dealing with a team.
Yeah. So it's a state that you live by all the time, and life flows. There's less stress there. When you get stressed and do things happen, absolutely, but you deal with it very differently from the feminine than you would from the masculine.
Yeah. And getting in these modes, understanding state change is absolutely critical. It's a major teaching and learning that we do inside Relationship Warrior Code. Why? Because there's 3,500 different states, emotions that we could be in, 3,500 of them. And habitually, we're in about 10 most of the time. That's our limited range, which completely stops us. And in this area, culture-wise, event-wise, role model-wise, we no longer know how to get into the masculine and the feminine, and we have to. Otherwise, the king and the queen cannot rise. See, even when it comes to scoring, we're completely the opposite. You know, when a man does something, he thinks, oh, wow, you know, I took her out to dinner and I should get laid tonight. Dude, seriously, if you run her a bath, you're going to get 1 point. If you take her out to dinner, you're going to get 1 point. If you take her for your honeymoon to Shanghai, business class, you might get 10. And you probably will get laid a lot, right? In that week you're away.
And we did that. We went to Shanghai. But it's the little things for women. You know, it's even, you know, Brett getting something in the cupboard and just moving me gently while he gets something in. So often it's just the little things. It's that respect, it's that care, and it's the little things that lead up, that make us feel close to you.
Yeah. And I know you guys listening right now are going to be getting inspired, you know, worked up about what we're talking about, because it's great stuff, right? But you have to take action. So if you haven't booked a session with us, this is going to disappear in a minute. I'm going to take it off the screen. Why? Because Marie and I only want to work with people that are prepared to friggin' take action and do the work. If you're here just to like get some information and try and apply it yourselves, guys, I've tried that strategy. It doesn't work. We're about to go to Los Angeles and we need to learn some more stuff around marketing. So we're going to spend 10 grand for one day, right? It gives us access for a year, but for a 1 day session to learn that stuff. That's taking action. That's when you get stuff to happen in your life.
And I only work with warriors now, and I used to not work with warriors. I used to work with people who said they wanted help. And I find that I was working more than they were working. That's when I pulled the pin. I only want to work with warriors because I want them to put in as much work as I'll put in.
Yeah, absolutely. So conversations, not arguments. Truth is, in our relationship, you're going to argue all the time. That's the truth. And how you handle those arguments is what counts. You know, Sean put up a comment earlier. I love it when we feel connected. Absolutely. All men do. All men do. But to get there, we've got to learn that men naturally block an emotional conversation. We put it on our chest plate, women store it up, and this is what causes these arguments. You know, there was a study a guy called John Gottman did, and he did a 5-year study, over 1,000 couples that he videotaped. And what he found in that, after years of research, is he came back 5 years later, checked in, and with a 93% accuracy, he could predict whether they were going to get divorced or not.
Pretty high.
And this dynamic here is how he was able to do it. He could tell whether they were in the masculine or feminine state. Was the guy blocking the conversation? And then did it then degenerate into personal attack? Because if that's what's going on, or the opposite was, they simply weren't talking. They weren't having any real conversations. They're trying to play nicey, bullshitting each other in the relationship. That's all good. We're all good. Bullshit. It's not good. It's a mess.
And that's not telling the truth. You know, it's all under the carpet, and you don't want to raise those conversations because one of you gets annoyed. That's not sustainable, and that's not going to last.
Totally.
You know, it's important to tell the truth. Does that mean having real, honest conversations? Difficult conversations? Yes, it does. It means having those conversations, even if the other person gets annoyed.
Yeah. So, you know, as a couple, you can get locked into this thing of, if you both come from the same role model where there's not meant to be any arguments, if that's what you witness, then you try and do that. But it's not friggin' real. You have to have these tough conversations in a relationship.
And yes, Tolga, timing is important. You know, timing is important when you have those conversations.
Yeah, and that's something that you learn in the Armory, right? That's one of the tools that we have. We show you how to do that timing, how to be able to get into that. You know, this is one of the tools from the Armory.
Yeah, and it's so important that we put ourselves first. Now, when I say first, I mean first unselfishly.
Yeah.
A lot of women, and I've had this conversation, would say, you know, definitely putting the kids first. And that's not going to work, because if you're exhausted, you've got nothing to give the kids. I watched something a couple of years ago. In Australia, we have Mother of the Year. And it was on the news, and the commentator was saying, what were you looking for to pick Woman of the Year? And I couldn't believe the answer. They said, we were looking for a woman that puts herself last. And this poor woman that won Mother of the Year was downtrodden and exhausted and didn't have a life of her own forever. And that was really sad that they were putting that up as a role model. That was really, I thought that was really sad.
Why it's sad is that it's cultural conditioning and it doesn't frigging work.
Certainly doesn't work for her. So when we put ourselves first,
it doesn't work in the relationship either, or even with the kids, because what it teaches the kids is, oh, that's what you do when you go out and have your own family.
So this is one of the tools of the army. So put yourself first, unselfishly. Then you put your partner next. And a lot of women will say, no, he's a big man. The kids, he can look after himself. The kids need to come next. And when you two are good, when this is good, the kids get double, the kids get more. So that's why you put your partner next. Then the kids, then business, friends, family, the rest of the planet.
It seems like common sense, right? You know, I can't put the business before her or the kids, because if I do, there's going to be a problem. Right? It seems like common sense, but common sense is not that common. And we forget. So when you've got a problem in your life, this, our shield, what doesn't make sense, Sean? Put up some more questions around that and we'll clarify them for you. You guys are doing all the work, by the way. Come on, Tennille, these other guys, you must have questions, right? So put up some questions. This is your opportunity. Take the friggin' opportunity while you got it. So when we get that out of balance, you have a problem in your life. So Leah and Craig was the perfect example of a dude who's like, what are you guys on about? What's all this stuff about the masculine, feminine going on, right?
Of course I'm in the masculine, I'm a man.
Yeah, I'm an accountant, you know, I've got a business, I'm running my business, I know what I'm doing here. What do you mean? And Leah was a business woman as well. So they both had businesses, kids, handling it all. He's going, I don't know why she's upset. I don't know why she's like not getting what she actually wants from me.
So Leah came by herself because Craig didn't want to come. And that happens a lot and that's okay. And he came later, which was fantastic.
Yeah, so have a listen to what he said after the event as to what he got from.
Nervous, apprehensive,
yep,
unsure,
yep,
and
didn't want to be here.
yes, yes,
As honest as it gets.
yep, absolutely.
Mm.
And how do you feel now?
Awesome.
good.
Yep.
Yeah, really, really good. Really quiet, very peaceful, happy,
Yeah,
light.
Glad this one forced me to come along.
Excellent,
Hmm.
good. So ladies out there, force your man. No, not really. But no, sometimes yeah,
No.
when you're feminine, you can
Need
lead.
a bit of a push.
Yeah. So what? Tell me what did we learn? What was the main thing you learned this weekend?
How to communicate,
Yep.
how to open up,
Yes.
and for all the viewers out there, how to get in my masculine state from my feminine state.
Yeah. Yeah. So did you know before
No.
this weekend that yeah.
Had no idea what they meant.
Yes.
Had heard of them from Leah from coming
Yes.
the year prior,
Yes.
and some of the issues there was that Leah came and then came home with the news and the information, and I'm like,
Well.
don't understand any of that.
Yes. Yep.
And then came
Come
along
along.
this year and now I understand what it's
Yes.
about.
Yes.
Yeah, have to
Yep.
be here to experience it.
Yeah. Yeah. So Leah, you must be really happy that your man is now.
I'm stoked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally
So,
stoked.
so how did
But confident too, right?
absolutely.
Confident because I could see what I hadn't seen before,
Yes. Perfect.
and I really liked what I saw.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So, you're now obviously in feminine. You can see that. Yes. And how does that feel different? How does your body feel?
Relaxed,
Yeah.
calm,
Yeah.
not heavy anymore.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
It just feels easy, like it should be, right?
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
We'll see
Thank
you
you.
again soon.
Yeah, totally.
I'm telling them. So you can hear, like, I get the guys don't get it until you come. When you come, then you understand what the hell it is that we're banging on about here and how to really get into the masculine state.
Absolutely.
So to be able to do that, you've got to you've got to see it. You know, as a man, you've got to witness it. You've got to be there. You've got to be able to actually feel it, is another way of putting it. And that's what happened with Craig. You know, he really got a sense of it in terms of an experience, and then was able to transmit that experience into being able to do it with her. So guys, you can restore the relationship in just 3 days. Is it going to solve every single problem you've got in a relationship? Absolutely not. But as a training, it's going to lift you to a massive, massive level. So we want to talk to you about how we do this and in the event that we run, because the event itself is the important part of being able to get this experience.
And you really get on the same page where two people, it's better than one person. You get there faster, and it's fantastic when you get the relationship to a place where you bounce off each other and magic happens.
Yeah, totally. So magic happens because you're on the same page. That's why it happens. You have to build the kingdom. That's what you have to do within the event. And in the event, we start with the temple, like removing the conditioning and then going into the code and getting you to understand the differences and being able to communicate between those two differences. So, you know, Jana and Shane years ago came to our event. And as Jana says here, right, she did the work on herself. 11 years ago at 25, I was having a nervous breakdown, and I just cheated on my husband. And we're in the middle of separating. So, you know, she did what most people do. It's not working. Okay, where am I going to get my needs met from? Oh, okay, I'll go and find some other dude because the one I've got's not giving me what I need. That doesn't work, right? Because then you just have to go out and redo it all again. So she did the work, and then she found.
And she's a true warrior. True warrior. Just you know what she's done with her relationship and her kids. True warrior.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, the young boy there in the middle in the white t-shirt, he is Jana's, and Sean has just taken him on like he's totally his. You know, they have a blended family, and the two other kids are theirs, and they run that family the way that it should be run. You know, they've continued to do work with us for years and years, and they've got the benefit of doing that. That's what it takes, guys. I'm not going to bullshit to you here. It takes work. Do the friggin' work, and you'll get the benefit. That's how it works. And when you do, like, these are our facilitators, and they've all been with us for years. Some of them, like 20 years or more. And in this community, we build a community of warriors that are doing the same thing. Strong, stable relationships, strong, stable families. That's what it's actually about. Now, I know in the hour and 20 minutes that we've been going so far, we've just downloaded a lot of content. But to put it in perspective, we've been with you for an hour and 20 minutes. We've got 32 hours of content we can give you in an event. And that's what we both would like to do. But this is only going to be for you guys if you are a dynamic person or a dynamic couple, okay? That you're prepared to do the work, prepared to look at the fall, go into the cell and seek that rise. So we've got two events that you can come to, because I know we've got people here from the United States. We're coming to Los Angeles on the 20th of October. The week before that, here in Perth, on the 30th of October, we'll be doing our 3-day Relationship Warrior Code event. You get to be with myself and Marie. You get to be with this awesome crew of people, these guys, and they will put in 120% effort to make sure that you get what you need from that event. You get the conditioning removed. You get to learn the code. That's what's going to happen. So here's a summary. Day one, we remove the conditioning so you can actually create the kingdom. You can implement all the strategies, all the stuff that we've got. Now, you know what's really interesting? I know a few people have dropped off the webinar the moment that we started to do this information about the event. They go, oh, they're about to sell us. Guys, absolutely. But if you're truly not into this stuff, yeah, definitely drop off, okay? Because this is only for committed people. This is only for dynamic people who actually want to make a change.
You want to have a great life, you need to put the effort in.
Totally.
Otherwise, you're not. And stop whinging about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've got to remove the conditioning on day one. Then on day two, when we go into what the communication code is, what are the differences? Learn how to be the feminine masculine. Learn about business.
And you've got that communication for the rest of your life. You know, when I first started using different language to communicate, it actually felt really fake at first. And I continued with it. And now I actually don't know any other way. You know, it's become who I am, that way of communication.
Yeah. So we don't just take you into that. We take you into business. We take you into investments. We take you into what we call the dojo, which is your fitness and your health. And we cover those things within this event. They are critical as well to learn about, to make sure the kingdom itself is really strong. And on day three, it all comes together. The combination of those two things gives you new conditioning, a new way of being to come out and be the beginning of the king and the queen. Is it an ongoing journey? Absolutely. I'm not going to lie to you. Absolutely. It's an ongoing journey.
Until the day you die.
Till the day you die. Totally. So how does it look? So you come to the 3-day event on the 13th of October or the 20th, if you're from Los Angeles. You get access to our online armory, which has like an enormous amount of video lessons online in every area of the kingdom. Investment, treasury, dojo, children, the temple with your inner peace. You know, I've got like over 100 videos on mastering inner peace within that armory. Access to a Facebook group. Come into the group. You know, share, learn from each other. We're about to do a 21-day challenge coming up soon.
Ooh, exciting.
That you can participate online and as part of that group. It'll actually be conducted within the group. And you get a free session, right, with us and with our coaches on your relationship. And you can have that access to us at any time once you sign to the event. That's a total value of $4,500. Absolutely awesome value. Because you have to ask the question, what's my family worth? What is this really worth? Marie and I have, without a word of a lie, spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on our education, on our growth, on our training.
And when the kids were small, we'd go separately, you know, because we had 2 kids in 2 years. But later, you know, now that they're bigger, we go together, which is fantastic.
Yeah, so we're going to LA together, going to do this course as a couple. Is it going to strengthen our relationship? Yeah. Totally. So what's the downside? What if you don't take action? What's going to happen? Well, this sort of shit's going to happen. And I'm saying this from a place of friggin' experience, right? You save hundreds of thousands of dollars of divorce costs.
And I've seen people come and just want a Band-Aid. You know, 2 people come. You know, one person comes because they want to fix a problem and that's it. Other people come because they're warriors and it's an ongoing journey. If you're coming to fix for a Band-Aid, it's not sustainable. You will break up. Yep. If you're a warrior, then you're committed for the rest of your life on growing. You can create an awesome life for yourself.
Totally. You can save years of turmoil. It's not just the divorce, okay? If you've got kids or even if you don't, there's years of turmoil after that. Years of grief that you go through, letting go of what could have been and what was. You don't want to go through that shit. It's hard friggin' work. You know, if you've been through it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you're on here searching for a way to find the one, man, that's hard. You've got to do the work on yourself because when we change, we attract a different person. I see so many women particularly going out and trying to find the guy, and they keep going through the same model over and over again. The reason is they haven't done any work on themselves.
And they're beautiful women, but they've just got a pattern where they attract a certain guy, which is not going to give them a great life.
Totally. Marriage guidance counseling, I did it for 2 years in my first marriage. That shit does not work. If you're even thinking about it, whether you use us or not, just don't do marriage guidance counseling. It does not work, okay? It focuses on the problem and makes you focus on that. It'll save you years of struggling through, trying to find a balance. There is no balance. There's priorities, but no balance. Seeing your kids on a shared basis and having them seeing a shattered relationship, man, I don't have time to tell you the stories of my kids. If you come to the event, you'll hear some of them. You don't want to put them through that stuff. That is just not what you want to be doing. So what's it going to cost? $1,995 per person. Is it an investment? Is $4,000 an investment in your relationship? Totally. Is it worth it? Every single friggin' cent that you pay will be worth it. This stuff works. You can come in Perth on the 13th. You can come in Los Angeles on the 20th. How do we know it works? Because these and hundreds of other people have testified to its strength and why it works. We've done this stuff for 30 years. We know this shit works. And you can go on to our website, relationshipwarrior.org, and you'll see lots of testimonials. I'm putting more and more up all the time. It works, guys. Totally works. As Jen and Troy, who started, I think, about 3 years ago, you know, they're going through a really tough time. They had a strong marriage, as she says. It was strong, but now it's unbreakable. And that's what you want in a relationship.
Eternally grateful.
Yeah.
Are they warriors? Yeah.
Will they continue to do work for us for a long, long time? Absolutely. Do we love working with them?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Are they part of the community? Absolutely. They even come and volunteer at the events. That's how much they love it now. So here's how it looks. You're going to sign up. You're going to log onto the Facebook group. You're going to check into the Armory, get access to all those resources that are in there. You're going to book a relationship mentoring session and get real. We have get real conversations about this, okay? We bring you to what is actually happening.
It's refreshing.
So you can deal with it, because if you're dealing with it and going, oh, no, really I'm over here, but really you're here, you've got no clue how to fix it. You've got to know where exactly you are to fix something. And then we've got a series of onboarding videos. You'll get 4 emails from us, and we'll onboard you in those videos, prepare you to the event. Now, for those of you guys that have hung in here to the very end, and thank you for doing so, I'm going to put up right now a little document for you, if I can find the link for it. And it's a questionnaire you can download right now. And I suggest you grab the link right now, download this, and you can ask yourself some questions about where I am right now. Let's get real, guys, okay? Let's get real about where you're actually at. So download that file, fill it out for yourself, and ask yourself those questions. And I don't know what's coming up for you. You know, you're here right now, you're listening to us. So there's something there for you. Everything we've given you right now to this point, there's something there for you.
And some people think, oh, I don't know whether I love them or not. I don't know if I want to do this with them. You know, the best time to leave a relationship when you are at your best and you're at your happiest.
Yeah. So you're going to tell yourself a lot of this stuff. And guys, I get it, right? I tell myself this bullshit all the time about doing things. You know, this is how I justify when I don't do what I know I need to do within my core things in my life. Conversations with her, time with the kids, exercise on myself, meditation, educating myself. This is the shit that I tell myself. Can't afford this. Not sure that I love her. Don't have time for the kids. Oh, I can just do it by myself. I don't need a mentor. I don't need advice. You know, I'm 60 years of age. I've done this shit now for 30 odd years. I know it all. I don't need somebody.
Can't do it in 3 days.
Yeah, not possible.
Yes, you can.
Can't even do it in one day, going to Los Angeles with somebody. Oh, we love each other. That's enough. You know, I used to believe that in my first marriage, that love is enough. Great believer in love. Very important, but it's not enough. It's okay as it is. That was the bullshit I told myself. It's okay as it is. Oh, it won't be us. We'll never break up. You know, she's committed to me. Yeah, bullshit, because love is not enough. And when the shit hit the fan, the relationship broke up. Oh, we argue all the time. We argue too much. It's unfixable. And this one drives me crazy. I can read a book and do an online course. I'll be good. You know, in fact, 95% of people that buy an online course never complete it. Man, what does that say, right? About how we listen to the crap in our heads. How we listen to the crap in our heads. So guys, look, this is either for you or it's not. Either way, Marie and I are good, okay? You got to ask yourself the question, are you the type of person that takes action, or do you just bullshit yourself and procrastinate? I get the bullshit, she gets the bullshit, we all get the bullshit, right? But you either take friggin' action or you don't.
This is for warriors, and this is people that are willing to look at the truth and tell the truth.
Totally. So guys, I'm going to put up the Australian offer right now. It's only going to be up for a couple of minutes. If you're interested, click that button right now, okay? If you're interested, click the button right now. It doesn't mean you're committed, it just means you're interested. So you're only going to have a few minutes to click this button right at the moment. So just to recap, again, you can come to the 3-day event, 3 days with us and about another 40-odd people. People go, well, how does the event work? I've told you how it works, okay? We cover it in 3 days. What's it like? It's awesome. It's a lot of fun. We really enjoy ourselves. It's not deep and it's not dark. It's fun. We have a lot of laughs about how women are and how men are too.
How great we are.
Yeah.
And I think, also you actually meet other people who are on the same page as you, who tell themselves the truth, that want more in their life and want to create more in their life and want to connect with families that want more in their life. Are we family orientated? Yeah, very family orientated.
Yeah, absolutely. But the way the event works and why it works so well is we live this code. Tell the truth. And when you're surrounded by people that set that standard for yourself, you become that standard. We are the product of the 5 people most that we hang around. Are those people lifting you up, or are they dragging you down to be suppressed, is the question you have to ask yourself. You're going to get access to our armory with all the information that you need to reinvigorate yourself, remotivate yourself, re-educate yourself consistently. This is what it takes, is consistency. You get access to the group to reinforce you, become part of that movement that's moving forward. And you get access to that team of people that I showed you. There are over now 15 coaches that work with us. 15 people there, a team with you on this journey, building this. This is why you have to commit, because we know in our own lives, when we join teams like that, it has moved us massively in our lives. So it's $4,500 worth of value. You get it for just $2,000. It is an absolute bargain, guys. I cannot and we cannot do it any cheaper. So I'm going to remove this offer. So I hope you clicked it. And I'm going to put up the US offer right now. So guys, if you're from the US, you've got a couple of minutes to click this and indicate your interest. Now, I hope you clicked the link before. If you didn't, you can go and find us on relationshipwarrior.org and you can book an appointment with us, or you can send us a text on that mobile number. That mobile number comes direct to me and we will respond to that. I'd also encourage you, like if I could, I'd bend your arm and make you, but I'd encourage you to subscribe to our podcast on iTunes. It's called Relationship Warrior Code Podcast. All you need to do, go to iTunes on your phone, look it up, right? Click the little podcast link on your phone, and what you'll find, the little link that looks like that, the purple one there, podcast, and type in Relationship Warrior Code, and you will find us on the link, Relationship Warrior Code. And so far, we're up to episode 13, called Tell the Effing Truth. Perfect, given that you've just been on this webinar. But it starts with the very first one, which is, what the hell is a kingdom? And as you go through those podcasts, you can listen to them in the car, listen to them on the way to work, and they'll really give you the information that you need to make a solid choice here, guys. So both Maria and I want to thank you so much for being here. We love doing these webinars. We love you guys being here, and I hope you found this. I'm sure you have found it of value, right? So I'm going to give you one last chance. You can book a conversation with us and have a get real talk, and we will make it real for you. We'll be honest. I'm not going to try and talk you into coming to our event. Let me reassure you about that, right? If you're not ready for this, if you're not the right person, if you're not a warrior, if you're not ready to step up and make a change, I don't want you at the event. I don't want you there because you're going to waste your time, my time, and your money.
And everybody else's time that's there to support you.
Correct. But if you're real, now's the time to get real.
If you're ready for change, click the link.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you guys being here. And we have a saying inside Warrior, 1, 2, 3, Warrior. Guys, go and be warriors. Have an awesome day. We loved you being here, and we look forward, hopefully, of assisting you.
See you.